Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Application Assignment 4. So our first problem here has to do with pets. And we surveyed people and asked them how many pets they have. So 0 people had 25 pets, 43 people had 1 pet, 22 had 2 pets, 12 had 3 pets, and so forth. So the first thing that we need to do is to calculate the percentage that each of these numbers represents. And the way, of course, that you would do that would be to sum these numbers. And I'm going to do this for you because there is a new concept here coming up shortly. So we sum these, and then we take each of these numbers here, each frequency, and divide it by that sum, which is locked because it's an absolute reference. And then we want to format it correctly. Great. Now, here's the deal. So this is going to copy down, and then we'll sum it again to get the cumulative, the 100%. But now in this column, we're supposed to get the cumulative percentage. And the cumulative percentage is kind of like a running total. And very much like most running totals that we do in Excel, for the first value is handled differently than every subsequent value. So for the first value, the cumulative percentage is just this 21%, so it simply equals this cell. But for the next value, what we have to do is to take this cell, the one immediately to the left, and add to it the running total from above. So that'll equal this cell plus the one above. And then that pattern we want to continue all the way down. And that gives us our running total. So that's how you do the running total using formulas. And I'll let you answer this question, and I'll let you do the graph to make your own graph to match this model, and then answer these questions. You'll notice that the graph type that we're making is not a pie chart. And the reason for that is when you have lots and lots of slices, in this case 10 slices, pie chart kind of doesn't work real well. It's good when you have just a few slices. When you have lots of slices, you're better off picking a column chart. All right, now in the next tab, we're going to do exactly the same thing, but this time using pivot tables. And this is, again, just a little bit tricky because it's different. So we start out here, and we pick Insert Pivot Table, which is the way we always start a pivot table. Remember, you must click in this box before trying to place your pivot table. Then place your pivot table here, and click OK. All right, so number of pets, that's not hard. That's going to go here. And then we need to count the frequency, and that's going to go into some values. Now, notice that this is giving us the right numbers, and it's showing up as sum of frequency. All of that is fine, but we can't call the column heading frequency because frequency is actually a column heading already. So we're just going to call it FREQ to make sure that we pick something different, or we could have called it frequency 1, whatever. Okay. Now, to get these next two columns, you know how to get the next one, which is just to drag this down here again. But here, we don't want the sum. Or actually, we do want the sum, but this time we need to show it as percent of the column total. And then we will format that appropriately. Okay, now there's a problem. See how I formatted it and only got the one cell? So a better way to format that gets everybody is to go to number format and change it there, and then it will change all cells that are effectively the same. All right, and this one we're just going to call percent. And let me go to the design menu, make it pretty with a report layout, outline form. Let me stretch these columns out a little bit. Okay. The next one is cumulative percent, and that one's not obvious. So what we're going to do is drag frequency one more time. Still showing as sum of frequency, and we're going to click Show Data As, and this one is very different. This is brand new. This is going to be percent running total in. So it's going to be a running total, which is what a cumulative frequency is. Okay. And now if I format this by right-clicking, number format, go down to 0 decimal places, and then we'll call this cumulative percent. Now you'll notice that on this tab, I'm not asking you to graph. And the main reason I'm not asking you to graph is because it is a real pain to try to graph this in Excel when you've done sort of multiple columns like this off of the same column. So I'm just not going to ask you to do it. You do need to answer this question though. And one thing you could do though to make your pivot table pretty would be to center all the items, and then it's easier to read your data. Okay. For the next 4, these are ones that you can actually do on your own off of the prep. So for formula batting, you're going to use the unique function here to get the batting handedness. You know it's going to come out right, left, and both. But you're just going to type the unique function once using this as the range. Then you'll get number of players using your countifs function. Sum that. Then take each of these number of players, divide by that total as an absolute reference to get your percentages. Add those up. Then make your graph off of this. Make a pie chart. And then answer these questions about the pie chart. So your pie chart should match this one, and then you'll be answering the questions about it. To do the same thing using a pivot table, you don't have to go through those intermediate steps because a pivot table gets you there directly. Just click anywhere in here, insert pivot table, and then you'll bring the players in twice, and once as an absolute count, and once as a percentage. But and then you'll make a graph off of that. Answer questions about your graph. Then the next one is looking at, so if these are all one data series, this is looking with the both, big hint, 2 data series. So we'll get the unique position off of this position. We'll get the different unique positions, copy those here using equals each one, and then we'll then use the countifs function to count for position and handedness and find out how many players fit into each of those, and then get grand totals this way, and then get sums coming down. Then from there, you're going to highlight and graph the data so that it looks like this, and then answer these questions about your graph. To do exactly the same thing in a pivot table, you're going to click here, insert pivot table, and for the pivot table, you'll have items in the rows, but you'll also have items in the columns. So what will be in rows it looks like it's going to be the position, and in columns it's going to be the batting handedness effectively. And then you get your totals and add those up. Then you make a graph off of that. And remember, when you make a graph off of a pivot table, you tend not to use the quote-unquote recommended graph because that doesn't work. You pick, in this case, it'll be the column graph. Like it ends up being stacked column, but we just call it column graph. And that's it. So very good luck with AA4, and as always, reach out if you have any questions.